What's up, you guys? Welcome back. Hopefully you can see me okay. So today I'm talking about why I quit social media, and this is the first video, but I'm also going to come back and do like a year update. I've been inspired by other YouTubers, and specifically I was inspired by a TED Talk I heard by Cal Newton. God, I hope I'm saying his name right. Newport? I think Newport. That's a familiar name. He's not like correlated with the cigarettes and whatnot, but okay, so I was listening to his TED Talk and I was very inspired. I also read his book, and I've mentioned that in one of my early videos. I'll put his book up here that I read. This book was very, very inspiring to me in getting myself back into like my creative groove and all sorts of things. And I must have subconsciously like remembered parts of his book, because throughout the last like year and a half, I got on Instagram. I really don't know how long I was on Instagram, but basically this was a time when I was listening to Gary Vee really heavy, and I also read that book by Cal Newport, and I was like kind of conflicted, and I kept going to the library for more books about. I heard Gary Vee's message like loud and clear, and he is very motivational, but like ultimately I stopped listening to him because he is so pro social media, and there's something about my personality that like social media didn't resonate with me. But I kept thinking not just with Gary Vee, but many other entrepreneurs would really drive that point home of like, you should be on social media, you need to be on social media. If you have a business, this is like the way to do it. This is how you grow. This is how people find you. This is how people know what you do. This is how you promote yourself. This is how you market yourself, and you know, yada yada yada. I could go on, but you get the idea. So but for me personally, I went on Instagram and so many people were like, oh, you're gonna love it, it's so artistic and creative and all that. And at first I was really inspired by seeing all the other entrepreneurs, and I love that you're basically just one message away from talking with somebody. Whether they respond or not, it's a completely different story, but you have the chance to just direct message people that you don't know, and I thought that was cool. And ultimately, there was a lot of things that didn't like about Instagram, same way I was with Facebook. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't like about Facebook. Was like, coming from my background, I was living, you know, off the grid for an extended period. I didn't have people, there wasn't a way for you to trace me or get a hold of me unless you knew who I was running around with. Then you could find me, then you could get in touch with me. But I was constantly going through phones. I call them burner phones, basically throwaway phones. I was constantly getting a new phone, using it for a few weeks, then getting rid of it. So there really wasn't like a way to track where I was, and to go from that way of living to like the complete opposite, which was you get sober, okay, there's social media, like let's check into it, opening a business, and then hearing over and over like how social media is a part of like the new way of doing business and all that. And so it's like, all right, let's give it a try. I didn't really use social media in my personal life other than when I had Facebook, and I used it basically just to post pictures, and I've talked about that in other videos, basically just to keep in contact with relatives. So I used it very randomly. I wouldn't say I was addicted to Facebook. I just had it was a hard decision for me to decide to delete Facebook, because I felt like I was deleting those relationships I had with my relatives, you know, especially the ones that are out of town and I can't talk and see them on a regular basis. But ultimately I had to decide that if I didn't enjoy being on there and it wasn't actually making me feel happy when I was on there, it was time to move on. And that was what I decided about Facebook several years ago. It's been well over a year, maybe even 2 years. Okay, so I noticed when I got off Facebook that I liked how it felt. I liked not being on there. I even kind of liked when people would be like, oh, I posted this, I don't know if you saw it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't see it because I'm not on Facebook. And that just felt really good to say. Like, I didn't have to worry about keeping up with whatever everybody was posting because I wasn't on there. And then once they knew that about me, they knew that I wasn't following them over there, so anything that they wanted to tell me, they would have to tell me directly. And I really liked that feeling. So, okay, let's get back on track. So let me just kind of try to talk quickly about Instagram. Okay, so TikTok, Depop, whatever. Like, I was on there so short. I'm just not active. I'll worry about deleting the accounts later. The cool feature about Depop is if you don't log in for several days, it automatically like deactivates all your listings. I learned about this because I actually wasn't on the app because I just forgot about the app because I was so busy with eBay and Poshmark and YouTube. And so I forgot like that I even had a Depop for a few days. And then somebody messaged me, and when I logged in, it said, we saw you hadn't been on the app in a while, so we deactivated all your postings. Now we see you're back, so you're active again. And I love that because it's like, in a way, it's protecting you from selling something accidentally and them forgetting to ship and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, oh my God, Poshmark needs to do this. So if anybody from Poshmark ever comes across this video, which they probably never would, please do that. Please add that feature to Poshmark. That would be amazing. Not that I forget to check Poshmark, but there's so many sellers on there that I've purchased from that don't ship the item, and then that results in poor customer service. We're getting off tangent here. Okay, so Instagram. Instagram was really hard decision for me to make to delete. But when I was listening to that TED Talk just a few weeks ago, I was like, you know what? Oh, and I Googled several YouTube videos. I can't remember specifically like who I watched, or I'd leave that in the description, but I'll leave the TED Talk in the description because that was so powerful for me to hear. Because when I read this dude's book, I always envisioned him as like an older person, you know, like maybe in his 50s, 60s. Not that that's too terribly old, but I just didn't picture him. When I saw him, I'm like, oh my God, I think this dude's probably like the same age as me, if close, maybe he's even younger. And to hear him talk about like, that he's not on social media and he doesn't feel like he's missing out by not being on it, and he's been able to build a successful business for himself as an author, and he does several other things that I can't remember, but that he did that all without having a social media presence, and how he feels so free not having it. That was really impactful for me. And then I've watched several YouTube creators say like, a year after quitting social media, this is what I learned, and I found those very inspiring. So I plan after I'm off Instagram for a year to do like that style of video and let you know how it went, like how I felt about it, what I feel like I've learned. I have no intentions of going back on Instagram just from this little amount of break I've taken from it. And I still have to figure out how to go in, because all I figured out how to do was deactivate my account. I still need to figure out how to go in and delete my account. But because I deactivated it, anytime I try to log in to delete it, it says there is no user here. So I'm just gonna leave it alone. If you try to contact me on Instagram and it's like showing my profile, I'm sorry, I am not on there whatsoever anymore. I'm no longer going to be active over there. So I wanted to kind of let you know this, because in several of my videos at the end, I put find me on Instagram, find me on TikTok. And I just want to be very clear that I'm not going to be over there. And the reason is because being on social media, going from, like I talked about, the way I was living off the grid before to getting sober and opening a business and feeling this kind of external pressure to be on social media, it never felt right when I was on social media, and I always felt like this isn't playing to my strengths. I don't really want people to know a lot of things about me, like where I am, what I'm doing specifically. I just felt like it was kind of an invasion of privacy. And then when you find out about, they read your messages and they do all this so they can collect your data just to sell it to the marketers, and God knows what else they do with it. But when I started to learn more about like how it all worked, I just felt like I was their little, pawn, and I'm their little puppet. And with the way my personality works, I have an addictive personality. It means I can get addicted to anything. I do believe I was addicted to Instagram, even though I didn't enjoy it. But this isn't the first time something like this has happened to me. I was addicted to methamphetamine. I didn't enjoy math at first, but I did become addicted to it. And so it's not the first time that something like this has happened to me. So it was a really hard decision for me to get off of social media, but I ultimately decided to do it because if my instincts are telling me something's not right here, I gave it a try for like a year and a half. I posted things from my heart, but if something wasn't resonating with people, or even, I guess, like, I don't know, like here with YouTube, for instance, I can have subscribers or I cannot have subscribers, but I still feel like the message I'm putting out might be relevant to somebody that sees this later, like in the future. Instagram couldn't really deliver that for me because once I pass on or pass away, nobody's going to go looking for my Instagram page, but I do hope that my YouTube videos live on. And I feel like YouTube, once I started YouTube, I just felt like this was a better fit for me. And technically YouTube is social media, and Poshmark they say is social media, but I don't consider Poshmark social media because I don't really get social interactions over there. Nobody's really like, hey, what's up, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's really not like that. Like, I show up, I do my work, I answer questions. It's a very professional environment over there for me. So YouTube, yeah, I feel like this is more just like I'm hanging out, like I'm sharing what I want to share. I'm interacting with you guys, with other creators. I love, like, and appreciate every comment I get. I love and appreciate every subscriber I get. I truly do appreciate that you give me your time to watch my video, to listen to what I have to say. But I also understand that what I'm saying isn't meant for everybody, and you'll never hear me say subscribe to this channel, like, blah, blah, like, comment, subscribe. You don't hear me say that for a reason, because I don't like when other people say it, because I feel like that's an insult to our intelligence. Everybody knows how YouTube works. I subscribe to who I want to subscribe to. I like the videos I want to like. I comment when I want to comment. I don't do it because you tell me to do it. You understand? So that's just how I roll with the whole YouTube thing. Now, putting a little button up there, no, that doesn't really bother me, but I get tired of people saying it over and over again. So yeah, getting off Instagram was hard because I had developed like this addiction to it. I loved being able to just randomly like go over there and see what was going on. And whenever I had free time, I could just kind of like type something in that I wanted to see about and that sort of thing. But what I was finding, just like Cal talked about in his talk, was it was fragmenting my attention. And ultimately, I want to work towards writing a book. I've decided I'm working towards building a regenerative brand where I take discarded materials and I repurpose them into wearable pieces again. Okay, so those are my two main goals going forward. So I know for me personally, when I need to focus on something, there has to be a sacrifice of some sort. When I wanted to build up my eBay store, I had to sacrifice my free time every evening for like a year and a half straight. Every evening I got off of my job, I went on eBay and I posted things and I did research and I ran sales and I answered questions and I did all that to build up that business on the side while I still had a working job, while I still had a regular job. Shitty job, but it was still a job. So for this, it's like, okay, I want to do these things. I want to give it my full focus. When I sit down to write, sometimes I write for like an hour and a half straight. Okay, so where is that hour and a half going to come from? And what I've decided is, if I get rid of TikTok, if I get rid of Instagram, Facebook's been dead and gone for a minute. Don't miss it. Bye, Felicia. If I get rid of Depop, all these other things, then, and I know this is like an unpopular thing to say because so many people are saying, you need to cross list, you need to cross list over here, use Vindu, use List Perfectly, blah, 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 blah. I use List Perfectly. It didn't personally work for me and my business. Haven't used Vindu yet. I might consider that in the future. But for me personally, I already cross post. I already know how to do this. As soon as I post up for Poshmark, I post up to eBay. Same thing. Boom. It's done in like 5 minutes. What's the big deal? Do I need a software to do that for me? Because when I used the software, I still had to input everything manually, so it wasn't really saving me any time. Now, if I was going to cross post like 5 sites, yes, absolutely. But for me, This was all fragmenting my attention. These were all little distractions that were adding up big time for me. So I know myself, and I have to go with my gut, and my gut is telling me social media doesn't agree with me. This dude was able to build a business without social media. I'm going to give it 100%, like all of my effort, to focus on the product, focus on giving better customer service. When that person reached out to me on Depop, I felt like shit because I had to be like, dude, I am so sorry. I forgot I even had this app, and I'm supposed to be a business. Like, I'm supposed to be professional. So that was like a wake up moment for me. Like, okay. And, I'm not, then my customer service level is going down. Then they're going to associate me with like shitty, inconsistent customer service, and I don't want that. And so it's like, okay, you know what, I need to take a step back. I need to dial in on like what I'm good at, what brings me joy. And for me going forward, that is YouTube as a hobby, obviously, and then focusing on the other two things I talked about, and still keeping up with Poshmark and eBay. So something had to go. I do believe with my personality, like he said in the talk, having these apps is like having a little slot machine in your pocket. Now, I was never a big gambler because I could see through that facade or whatever. Like, the odds were stacked against me, and I didn't like that, and I wasn't that crazy. I wasn't crazy in that way, but I get it. Like, having a little slot machine in your pocket, they've made it as highly addictive as possible. And then how many times just now since I've been off Instagram have I noticed that like lull when I get like a little bit of free time, like a dead spot in my day is what I call it. When I get that dead space, several times I caught myself like trying to click on Instagram and then being like, what are you doing? So I know that I was using Instagram and TikTok in that distracting way, and I'm getting away from that because that's that dead space. Now I have time to be like, okay, what should I do? Or what do I want to do? Sometimes it's something I need to do for myself. Sometimes it's like, you know what? You need to get in like at least a little 15-minute walk or a workout. It's allowing me to listen to my own like inner voice so much better. I'm better to able get in tune with myself, my own thoughts, less noise. And this is going to be very powerful for me in the goals that I'm trying to go towards. So that's what I've chosen personally. And several other times when I had that dead space, it was like, okay, like, let me go write something. And then I went like off on a tangent and just wrote and wrote and wrote. And I don't think what I wrote was good, but it was good for me to get started on it and get that practice in, because over and over and over, the more I write, the more I will get better. And writing is something I'm very passionate about. I've been writing since dude was locked up, and I used to write him letters, and ever since then it like clicked with me. I loved writing. I loved it so much, and I've not stopped really since then. I used to write in rehab, and I used to read my poems, and they got like the biggest kick out of them. They'd be like, oh my God, like these are so good. And they were like really horrible things to say, but it was how I felt at the time. They were really raw, kind of like some of my first YouTube videos on here, that sort of thing. But when you're going through the same thing, I guess they were really relatable is what I should say. Anyway, that's enough talking for today. I'll do an update in a year on how this plays out. I'd love to know your thoughts like on social media and how you think it's working for you or against you for your long-term goals. And I know I'm in the minority on this. That's why I kind of want to hear what other people have to say about it. But maybe there are a few of you that are like in the same boat as me. And anyway, I'm gonna go thrifting, de-stress, wish me luck. I hope I find some good things, and I'll talk to you guys later.